All right, I feel like I'm ready. Now at 6:30 when we're starting. Oh, we're starting. Shoot.
Oh.
It's 6:30. Guys, Columbus DJ Podcast, episode 10. I didn't think we'd make it here, to be honest with you. This is a milestone that no one could have predicted. I want to thank our team, everyone in the office, all the way up from the CEO, all the way down to the housekeeper. What's up there? Just so awesome to be doing 10 episodes of this. Hopefully we can do 10 more. I don't know. We just got to keep it going. I will say this, we did have something happen over the week. You know, the Black Lives Matter movement is taking hold of the world, and the CEO thought an affirmative action plan should go into place. And so replacing DJ Corrupt on this episode is DJ Biederman.
I was trying to follow where you're going with that.
What's funny is your screen was on, like you were the person's face I was seeing as I was saying all that. I'm like, I wonder if he's going to be slightly mad. No, we're just kidding, guys. Corrupt's on vacation with his family, and then he's actually in the chat, so don't say anything too bad about him. But yeah, episode 10, guys. We have Sam Biederman and Connor Mulrooney, who I've said his name incorrect before. Got it right today. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Warzone Heroes.
I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, this is a great opportunity. What's going on, everybody?
Oh, chilling. Just ready to get back into Verdansk, I think, right after this.
Yeah.
You should explain it for Verdansk to those who don't know. Maybe our screens and stuff like that, because I don't think everybody gets it, though. They should, though.
Yeah, Verdansk is a philanthropic community that prides itself on helping the needy in any shapes and forms. So right now they're focused in on, oh my gosh, what's happening now? The Australian wildfires was at the beginning of the year. And so they just, Verdansk is kind of like the meeting spot for all those people to share ideas on how to fix these problems. And we're in season 4 of that.
I don't know how to follow up on that one. That's perfect.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. That's why I support it.
Exactly. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, if you hear us talking about it, you know, it's our duty to the people to answer the call to help out wherever injustice is present. I think we should get started, guys. I want you to introduce yourself, and I think I want Connor to go first. He's excited. Go ahead, Connor, man.
Yeah, look at this, the enthusiasm right now. What's going on? I'm Connor Mulrooney, aka Connor Quentin, as of currently. I've been DJing, paying rent off of DJing for about 5-6 years now. Got into it about 8 years ago, but was just trash there at first. Just kind of figuring stuff out. Open format DJ. I've pretty much been living on 13th as far as DJing for the past 5 years once I started working with A&R at Midway and Ethel and Tank and all their locations that they have. So I've been pretty much posted up there comfortably, having a good time. Light production, mostly like little edits and stuff just to help open format DJ and no like original production or anything like that. But yeah.
What's been your most successful production project? Was it one of the remixes or the contest that you did?
So I thought it could be the contest. It was not the contest. It was that Pokemon remix.
Every time.
I sampled that Pokemon Team Rocket sound, and SoundCloud seemed to enjoy that.
Good
one. So
have you been able to?
At the time what's that?
Have you been able to kind of push the traction from that into other projects? Are you gonna stick with the Pokemon theme or do stuff a little more serious?
Yeah, I mean, for right now, I'm just trying to get master Serum a little bit more sound design before I could really try to start busting out melodies and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of simple bass music kind of remixes right now, just because I feel like I can figure out how to make things sound good before I want to build on that. So right now it's just finding weird things to sample, doing like 2-minute edits, nothing like crazy at the moment, but just little things.
Brandon, do you have any questions for Connor? I mean, when he says he lives on 13th, do you know what he means by that?
No.
Uh,
I'm assuming it's an area with a bunch of, bars, but I wasn't for sure. So
Go ahead.
Midway's the main one for sure. So it's A&R Creative Group that own all the locations, but Midway's like I don't know how to put it. It's like the spirit of.
yeah, gotcha. I know that. Okay, gotcha. I just GPS my way there. I don't actually know the names.
I've been there so long now. It kind of feels like The Walking Dead. Like it just keeps going, and like the cast is kind of changing here every couple seasons. But if you get bit, you gotta get killed. Like
Bento Go-Go, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Bento Go-Go.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like I did a show there a long time ago.
If campus was Middle Earth, then Midway would probably be like Minas Tirith, I think.
Spot on. It is spot on. But I've been over there. I started there before I was even 21. So like once I turned 21, I was giving my full availability to them. So I never really had to pop around the city, like network per se, or check other spots out. Like the moment I was able to start DJing, I was like, all right, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like put me in there. So I never really had to form a lot of connections with other bar management, stuff like that. Like once I got with A&R, I've just been there. So like a lot of people don't even know where I am, but they can find me at the same spot every time. So.
And when you're DJing there, I mean, what's your, what do you feel strongest on? Like, do you move your equipment between spots, or, like what's your weapon of choice, I guess?
Great question.
Ever since I Pioneer, I mean, as long as it's Pioneer, I don't really care what it is. I usually carry around SZ just because, it's got the 2 sound cards. So if we're switching over between people, whatever, it can get beaten up. It's like my go-to for hauling around. But recently we just got 1200s and an S9 and Ethel, which is nice because the S9, I love the S9. It's one of those things that like, unless somebody's providing it for me, I'm never gonna get to use it. Same with CDJs. So like anything Pioneer I'm good with, but if I want to be able to DJ on autopilot and know that nothing possibly could go wrong, then like just any SZ, any setup like that, like I'll just be totally fine.
And you guys better behave yourselves because your boss is here. Shout out to Chang Song in the building.
Hey, not my boss anymore.
Oh,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're getting to the retirement conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Sam, talk about who you are, what you do, and stuff.
So, Sam Biederman. The past year or so, maybe a little bit longer, I haven't really been using a DJ name. Just kind of been putting myself out there as Sam Biederman. But I've been DJing for about 6 years now. Took a little bit different of a path than Connor. So I started more with MBFP before I got into the bars. So did some shows for them, like 2015, late 2014, I believe. Got in real tight with Alex and Paul when they were still doing Park Street. So started shadowing them a bunch. And then got my first residency at Park Street Patio doing, I think, Friday nights. And then that expanded to Thursday nights for college night, and then Saturdays. That shut down, and then moved over to Big Bar for a few months, and that was a fantastic experience, and I loved every moment of it. We were always busy, and it was a great crowd. And then thankfully I got saved by A&R. So switched over and joined forces with Connor for Midway Ethel Trism. So did that for about 2.5 years. And I was going back and forth even when I had the other residencies of picking up shifts at Midway or Ethel, wherever they needed it. And then this past December, I actually resigned from my residencies to kind of focus on my day job and kind of realign and figure out what I really wanted to do moving forward DJing wise. I was just getting a little burnt out and needed a break, but that's the minute synopsis of the past 5 years.
And
Beautiful.
and when he comes back, we're in the 4-5. It ain't to play games with you. Is that right, Sam? Would those words ring true to what you believe?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So you said you're not going by your DJ name, but this was actually funny because as I was like preparing for the show, I was like, I knew you went by something, but I couldn't remember what you went by. So that is my question. What did you used to go by when you were?
I went by, so Anthony Bergamesca and I had a duo for a while. Went by Public Disturbance.
I know that one. I actually did know that one.
So that, I don't know, have I ever told you the story behind it?
Not behind that name, I don't think. Maybe.
So I went to my freshman year of college. I went to a branch of Penn State. We threw a block party, and the sheriffs came, and they're like, "You have a minute to shut down, otherwise we're arresting you for inciting a riot and causing a public disturbance." So that was the birth of that name. But I mean, over the years, I think a bit of self-realization of like, this isn't me, like going by a stage name. It works for a lot of people. It's great. I just think my personality-wise, it's not, I don't know, not my jam.
Well, I gotta say, when you're typing out, it'd be so much easier if I was just able to type out Sam B every time I was promoting you. But I mean, if you have me type out the whole thing, that's fine. That's your call.
Gotta cut out them syllables, man.
Yeah, it's a
DJ Sam
mouthful.
What about you, Brandon? You got any questions for Sam? I don't know how well you guys know each other. Besides,
no, I actually do know Sam. I met Connor last out of all this group. I knew Sam because I'm good friends with Anthony Bergamesca. So I remember when APD was happening and shows were going on in Columbus. And I did have a question about that, but it's really for the whole group. It's not really for Sam's journey. So I can ask that later. So,
yeah, man. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I guess I wanted to talk about. Now, Connor, have you worked in a DJ duo before?
Nope. Just back to back with just random friends like Sam. I mean, we did a few. I mean, that's basically how Sam and I met from Melted Mondays, Scarlet and Gray.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay. Yeah, because I kind of wanted to ask Sam about that. His experiences. So I did a duo for a very short time several years ago with an DJ Black Rabbit. Goes by Discognition now, but we were bass marvels. We were just making a little. He was really the producer, and I was trying to help and stuff, but. Mike's got wiretap, and so I was just wondering if you talk about your difference between DJing with somebody and what you like more, and and kind of how that works, because a lot of people haven't done that, and I think they don't really understand how it works. And I personally don't like it because I like to control it all, and I don't feel I get the great energy from two people together, but some people are just amazing, like I've seen. So I didn't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. And I know it didn't end because it was terrible because, you guys just went different directions, so I don't want to say you're throwing Anthony on the bus or something.
No. So, I mean, we ended up ultimately splitting because he went the more like progressive house, the 8-minute edit tracks route, whereas I went more of the bar scene. It depends on who I'm going back to back with. If it's someone that I know their style, we have similar styles, or like I trust them, I think it works well. Like Connor and I think we work pretty well together going back to back. Same somewhat styles, like especially for campus bars, like we know what's expected, stuff like that. But for, I'd say most people, I wouldn't be a huge fan of it. Either, I don't know. I think it's very situational. Connor, what do you think? Or Mike?
I mean, open format in a bar club setting, I don't think it makes that big of a difference because we're still just kind of checking boxes the whole way we go, just with like subtle flair differences between each other. Block, I mean, there's a little bit more creative freedom, playing out for everybody. But if it's like a show, I've never done it with somebody else. I imagine, with the time restraint, that could be, you sort of have to be way more on the same page. Otherwise, we're just kind of up there just vibing pretty much. Like, I mean,
Con, you said
never done any
checking
shows.
boxes. What do you mean by that? Because I don't think the average person would know what you mean by checking boxes. I feel like I know what you mean, but I want to make sure.
I mean, there's like certain, beats that you got to hit. And I don't mean like a beat, but like certain like beats throughout the night. If you're doing a 4-hour set that's at night, you're going to, have that maybe transitional crowd that's happening from who's been day drinking to who's night drinking. You got to kind of segue there. That's kind of like the soft portion of the set. if it's crazy out the gate, you know, then there's different kinds of peak moments you might want to achieve. You know, sometimes people want a heavy bass set for like 10, 15 minutes so that they're not like up there pissed that you're not playing Excision. But then some people are out there just waiting for like that tech house drop. I mean, there's different ways to view it depending on where you're at. But if it's like strictly open format Ethel, you know, you're playing a lot of originals and stuff, then there are certain boxes I got to check, like certain songs that just people, you know, the campus bars, like they want to scream it at least one point during the night. So like you got to make sure you incorporate it into the overall grander scheme of things. So it's not like you're just throwing it in there because you know it's going to win, but like, you know, that one's going to be a hit, and then you can build outwards around it and kind of make it be a highlight moment.
You agree?
Especially for some place like Ethel, where you have such a big collective. You know, you have people that want sing-alongs, you have people that want hip-hop, you have people that want house music. I mean, I kind of refer to it as playing hot potato for 4 hours. Of even if someone, you know, loves hip-hop, they hate house music, you're going to have the opposite there. So how do you keep them all, you know, entertained enough where they're not like, all right, fuck this, I'm going to leave. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to please everybody with every song. So, I mean, I don't know if we're still on the topic of going back to back, but if you're playing with somebody that also knows that, you know, whether their style's a little bit different, or they play different tracks and you whatever, I mean, you get the point across, and I think you can accomplish what you're there to do. Especially
like Sam and I are playing together. I know at some point we're going to bang out Big Room House, but I'll probably not check that box myself. I'll do something when I know is going to be best for him to do it, because that's what he likes to play. So like, I'll know to maybe do some hip hop bangers and kind of like some 100 BPM, just so that he can kind of get his own like intro melodic track, whatever way he wants to segue into a big room vibe. He can check that box, and then it's not like I played one randomly, you know, 10 minutes before that kind of like took away from that.
So when you guys are checking boxes, you know, like, does each night have the same boxes and you have to get to those, or does it change, you know, like, and I guess the follow-up question is like, when you guys are checking that box, do you have to kind of dip your toe in, and you're like, okay, we're doing Big Room House and this is what we're going to do, I guess, you know? So
we definitely sample the waters there at first. Like, you can kind of get at a certain point in the night, you're going to be like, all right, this crowd's much more inclined to want a lyric that they know, and they just want to sing along. Sometimes you get people that genuinely just they want fucking bass. Like, they just want to party and stuff. Like, you got to do what you got to do. It depends. I think a lot of times you can definitely know exactly what you want to play before you even show up, but how you go about it, when you do what, and stuff like that is what we can really get creative with. Because otherwise, a lot of the songs, we know we got to play it at one point or another. It's just, you know, how are we going to make that sound better than somewhere else?
Yeah, and it's someplace like Midway where, I mean, it's either full or it's not full. If people are showing up there, they're showing up to dance. You know, it's a very limited spectrum of what goes on there. Whereas someplace like Ethel, there's a lot more variety. You could have a chill night, you know, whether it's a football game going on or, you know, a basketball game where people just want to watch the game, hang out, have some beers, or if it turns more clubby, they want to dance. I mean, it's a lot of dipping your toes, see what works, see what doesn't work. And I think the makeup of the crowd, like, is it busy? Is it not busy? Are they in big groups of guys, big groups of girls, or is it more coupley? You know, I think that all plays a factor into how we play the campus bars.
Yeah, I actually love Ethel. That was one, you know, Wednesday night at a college bar, you know, can be up and down. But man, it was really good as a testing ground. Obviously, I'm getting to be an older DJ, and just having like a set group of people, like even if it was just 20 people, and like, you know, music comes in at such a fast rate now that there's a big difference between like what's hot on Spotify and then what works in a club, or like what all the DJs are playing in California versus what comes to Ohio. So you like having Ethel like as a testing ground for tracks that I was going to play like the next night to a much more like party style crowd was really, really helpful. And I think that's kind of a gem. When you're talking about, Sam, like the variety that you can play there, no matter what you play, it seems like someone there is like gonna, like, you know, look up at you and give you the nod. But like you were saying, it's definitely not going to be everyone at the same time unless you're playing like a major sing along. But I do love that.
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about, you guys got to DJ at Lfo this past weekend. So I want to know, what has reopening looked like, and is the pandemic over in your professional opinions?
Everybody's being very cautious. We are, you know, making sure everybody stays safe, wearing, you know, masks.
Chang's still watching? No, you can tell the truth. You can tell the truth, Con. I don't think Chang's watching anymore. He's probably shooting guns or something.
Oh, the demographic that we get at those bars, I think, are done being concerned about the pandemic. It would seem. It's how it is. It's, you know, it's a slippery slope. They're ready to go. They're just. It's however much we want to, you know, how many restrictions we want to give them. They'll take it and they'll try to push it a little bit further. So.
Sam, you got to DJ on Saturday, but just describe the scene, man. Like, paint the picture.
Yeah, I haven't DJ'd since March.
Yeah, you know,
I thought you were there on Saturday.
I
showed up for some food and a drink, but
okay. So, Connor, were you there on Saturday?
Like 30 minutes after you.
Yeah, I was there during the day, and then Cody Bird did Saturday night, and then I did brunch when you were there as well. Saturday was very busy, so yeah.
Yeah, very busy, man. Sam, for some reason I thought you were there with Cody. I was like, I'm really hoping that you just tell people how it was there. Yeah, I obviously I was there with you guys on Sunday. I got to play a little bit, and while I was impressed by what Ethel did to kind of follow the rules and create like an environment, people were bouncing between tables in a method that Ethel really couldn't control. So yeah, it was good in that it was a great party, great atmosphere. Everyone, like, you know, tried to do their best. But man, if this thing is as crazy as they say it is, woo, we all got that shit.
Yeah.
So had the open dance floor been lifted?
I think that just got lifted.
But was that weekend that you guys DJ'd, was that part of that, or is it that before?
Let's say it was. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think that's the safest way to go.
Yeah. So not yet. I'm not trying it. But my question is, like, are you guys seeing people being more leery about people recording stuff for like selfies and stuff like that? You know, people trying to be like, hey, you know, they're just trying to record this, like put this on the news or something like that. I was just, because I saw a video of some concert for Dirt Monkey in Florida. I just wondered if somebody be like, you know, I don't think they were sharing it to be like, hey, this is a good thing. They're sharing it really as, look, there's 700 people together, even though we're 1,500 person capacity. And I don't know if your crowd was feeling that way. You know, people don't like to be recorded, you know, sometimes, but just, you know, in this era, you know, if they're feeling extra, like, you know, because selfies and videos are just part of party life. You know, so
I'm sure at some point during the night somebody took a video and was like, look at all those chicken. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people. So, but at the same time, I don't think we have anybody like trying to, you know.
But I mean, like, no one felt awkward or anything like that. I mean, it seemed like everybody was there for okay. I mean, that, because I just wonder, I haven't DJ'd yet since it, you know, we're coming out of this. And so I just wondered, you know, because there's going to be different norms that are going to come out of this, you know.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say, and this might not be popular, but like, I feel like in that environment, people, if you're out at Ethel and it's packed or whatever it is, I think people approach that environment the same way they approach the gym, right? If there's Corona present in this gym, I will probably contract it based on what, you know, what I know, right? So I feel like it's the same with the bar industry. Like, you know, social distancing kind of happened, masks almost non-existent, but people going there kind of like accepted, like they basically they accept their risk, right? So whether they go interact with like other people who are at risk is kind of their own business. But I think everyone kind of comes into that environment going like, we're willing to accept this risk. If we get it, we'll probably be fine. And other people might have things to say about that, but it is what it is. Do you guys feel that the same way?
Yeah,
That's
I would agree.
Yeah,
Especially for that demographic. I think if Midway didn't shut down even during the start of this, I bet they would have still been packed every night. I think that's just the nature of OSU campus and the shit show that it is.
It is chaos, but it's lucrative chaos. So
That's true.
What do you think, Brandon? Is that how it should be? Do you think it should be the opposite way?
I mean, should it be? If everybody who went in there just interacted with those people, I'm cool with that, but that's just not the case. And so that's a crappy part, but I'm down here in Athens. It's not much different. The students are out and, they've been partying this whole time, and so, our bars have been closed as well. And so it is what it is,
Yeah.
I'm not, this isn't the COVID, DJ show. So I'm not going to harp on that. I'm a little more stringent, but people want to party, they're going to party, and everyone's going to do what they think is best, and that's that. So
I want to know how you guys
don't come near me. So
yeah, right. I want to know how you guys met, because you guys, as I've been kind of like hanging out with you guys more through online video games. You guys send me videos of you two together, and they're all cute, and they have really pretty music behind them. So how did that bromance start?
So it started. It melted Mondays. Weekly at Scarlet and Gray, like 5 years ago.
Man, who used to run that? I know. I feel like, who used to run that?
It was Bryce.
It was Bryce Baker.
Yeah, it was Bryce, and then
the guy who used to DJ with
John.
Yeah, John.
John Workman.
Yeah, John Workman. Yep.
Melted Mondays, man.
And then who was Bryce's friend? The one that was in the Army. Can't remember.
Oh shit.
He had the sleeve. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'm digging deep in the memory pool now. We're going back. Let me think.
So you guys met at Melted Monday. Then what happened?
So we met at Melted Monday, and then I ended up hosting a college DJ competition.
Yeah, it was with Ginsu, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Ginsu was one of the judges.
Did Leak participate in that? Was it at Big Bar?
No, that was a different one. That one I participated in.
Gotcha.
That was like a year after.
Okay, so the battle happens.
And then I don't know, we just started hanging out, and
yeah,
then we got married and divorced. Had a few kids along the way, and
you know how it goes. You guys both hold down day jobs while DJing. I did that for 5 years myself. Brandon does that. Describe what that's like. How do you guys manage your time, like pre-pandemic? Obviously now it's different, but pre-pandemic, how are you guys managing your day job and the DJ life? And it's not just any DJ life. It's not like you guys are doing weddings where they're over at 11, you're home at 12. You're not home till 3, 4 o'clock, and you're probably doing a little after party sometimes. Talk about that.
I struggle. No, it all depends on what the other job is. I did engineering at the Hilton downtown for like 2 years. That kind of was not too ideal because it was just like constant, manual labor, early mornings and stuff like that. But more office related the work can be, the more compatible I think I can do with lack of sleep and stuff. Either way, it's not healthy, but if you guys have advice on how to balance this stuff.
So are you admitting defeat, Connor? Because you seem like you got it together, man.
Just say no is my advice. When there's an option to do something, just say no. It feels weird, but then eventually it'll start to feel good.
That's not that I know.
People give me shit for it. Sam does too, but I don't really go out per se unless I'm working for the most part. So that helps. I kind of consolidate all my social interactions into while I'm DJing, so that when I'm not DJing, I can just fall off the grid and not be contactable, basically.
For me,
go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead.
No, you good.
For me, I've been lucky. I've had very understanding bosses that, understand that working late nights, whatever, and it's a unique job scenario where we can kind of make our own hours and kind of, work at our own schedule. So, I mean, they're used to me rolling in at, 11 a.m., whatever, and then just, working late to make up those hours. Not so much now, since I'm, working on getting a better sleep schedule, but for, the 2.5 years of working Thursday through Saturday, especially during football season, when you clock 25-hour weekends or more, you're worn out. And so getting that extra sleep. So I don't know, that's the only thing that made it, remotely possible for me, because I like my sleep. But I mean, even with that, you're drained mentally, physically, emotionally.
Yeah. Definitely don't party while you're working. Like, sooner you treat it like a job, the world better everything becomes. Because if you're partying consistently as much as like a DJ who's paying their rent does, then you're probably going to kill yourself after like 2 months. I mean, that's what blows my mind is, we're so dependent on people who are willing to drink every night. Like it's nothing. And like,
don't go down that path, Connor. That's dangerous thinking, bro, being in the bar industry. Do not.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how people, like, I don't know how our customers do it. I'm like, props to you guys for being in here like 3 times a week, like get shit-faced and having a good time. Like I, drink. If I get blacked out one night, I'm probably going to have a sinus infection for a month. So
the funniest thing is on like Michigan game days, we're DJing for 16 plus hours. And so you'll see the same people like 3 separate times during the day. They come out in the morning, they get drunk, disappear for a few hours, show up with a new outfit, kind of sober. And then they'll do it another time. And it's like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
Or it's like a Wednesday and they've been there like on Friday, Saturday, the week before. You're like, where are you getting these money? Like you're college students. Like I know clearly you can't be working jobs because you're here.
It blows my mind.
But I'm sure, we were like that too, though. I felt like most of my drinking was college parties, though. I felt like not at bars. Like, that also was probably because I was DJing by the time I was 21. So
yeah, same.
But Sam, so you talked about how difficult the work-life balance can be, and that led to retirement, and then you unretired, and then you made a nice Facebook post again, which I read from start to finish. Took me about 3 minutes, and I want those 3 minutes back because not only did you unretire again, but you did it a third time.
No.
And I was ready for those gigs, man. Chang was ready to give me those gigs, and you came back.
I did not unretire from A&R. I am still retired from A&R.
He's like John Wick, he's just like, don't make me dig up the fucking guns I got in my brick basement.
People keep asking me if I'm back. Yeah, I think I'm back.
I mean,
there's really no
problem. Not been 3 times.
I just had to.
There was a one definitive retirement, and I have not entirely gone back on it. Mm-hmm. Thinking about it.
So let's say something really dope happens between Midway and Ethel. Just to say something like really dope happens, and they want you to play at that party. Are you turning that down?
If it's a one-off gig, no. And I've told them that, like, I'm open to come, sub in, help out, whatever. And I do miss it in some sense. But I think, like, residency wise, I think I've moved on from that.
Gotcha.
I need to focus on day job or whatever. I think I'd be open.
Is he ready to become a wedding DJ, Brandon? Do you think he's ready for that? He's ready to join the dark side?
I'm just, I'm interested to hear you talk more about that, because there's going to be people on the stream yelling at you like, why would you give this up? And so they would think you don't love DJing. So if you could talk a little bit more about that, because I think some people don't see how much work goes into this. You know, they see us, you know, us talking about, you know, us partying and so much and going to our day jobs. You know, if you could talk a little bit more about, because I do remember the retirement as well. You know, I was like, oh wait, he did come back. You know, but like just razzing you there. But I mean, it is like a real thing. You know, like people are just like, oh, I'm done with it. You know, so
it's the residencies on campus like Connor and I had, or he still has. I mean, they're grueling. Especially football season, even if you're not working a day job. And I mean, I was still in school for, you know, part of that time. People want to hear the same music. They don't want to hear music they don't know. They want to just hear stuff they know, they can sing along to, they can dance to. So that, you know, weekend after weekend of, it wears you down.
You don't feel like you're putting your personality into the DJing. You're almost just like a machine that's being, give me this, give me this, give me that.
And I mean, we joke about it, but it becomes very methodical. Like, all right, this happens, so we play this. We know this will get this reaction, and so you almost feel like a puppet master in like a really like weird way, because you know the crowd so well, you know the music so well that there's not really any guessing in it.
Yeah, it's like an airplane pilot. Like literally, you don't have that much room for deviation because you will crash the plane. But like their life is still in your hands, so like you can't fuck it up. And like you got your takeoff, you got maybe some turbulence, you get your landing. It's all pretty cut and dry. You know, open format is. Honestly, the hours are grueling, but like if you really want to excel at it, the programming, the crate digging, that stuff outside, which is when you naturally be like, all right, I'm done, I want to do something else. You can't. You got to take the time to get that stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what. So I started after leaving A&R. You know, I was doing some stuff at Seesaw, places like that pre-COVID. And it was so weird because you go into this bar and it's an older demographic, so you can play, you know, the older, in my opinion, better hip hop. And you can color outside of the lines that we previously weren't able to. And so, I mean, in our shoes, like there was no reason. Sam didn't read any of those books, fake news.
Right, I told you that leak is funny, bro.
And so like never really had any Moomba, never really had, you know, stuff like that where it was never appreciated or would get a response on campus of like, all right, you know, now I need to expand my horizons, crate dig. And it was challenging at first to kind of force yourself to break the, you know, the norms and the rhythm that you kind of got into on campus. So I think it was difficult, but it was super refreshing. And I think it brought back, it made me remember why I love DJing, because it felt much more so like you have the creative control back. You know what I mean? You can kind of guide the ship where you want, see what happens, like new stuff's going to happen, you know, and you don't know what comes around every turn.
Gotcha.
Someone's gonna watch us and think that like DJs are all like control freaks. You got like Connor talking about like being the puppet master, and then like I have creative control now, and then I'm exactly like I've said both of those statements before, so I think it's kind of funny.
100%. I support that 100% as DJ. And I'd shout out A-Rock, another DJ Rock holds down a full-time job down here in Athens, so he knows this whole world of, you know. He does not drink though, so he doesn't have that problem of going in and feeling bad the next day. But yeah, definitely what you guys are talking about, the burnout and the puppet master, you know, just seeing like, I know this is going to work. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just going to be that thing. If you do that 7 times in a weekend, it can get tiresome, even if you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So.
And now everyone else is going to take a break, and I'm basically just going to talk to Connor for a minute because we both.
Oh no!
Some of you guys can join in on this, but Connor and I share a love of Pokemon. We're both way too old for the shit, but you know, we do our thing. Both watch competitive Pokemon. He plays it on Switch. I do it on the laptop. But I thought I'd ask you some rapid fire Pokemon questions. For those of you who aren't into Pokemon, just give me like a minute or so and let us do our thing. All right, so favorite generation?
Second generation. Johto all day.
Favorite competitive tank?
Competitive tank, Ferrothorn, for sure.
Favorite sweeper?
Ooh, I mean, I've been using what's it, Excalibur, whatever, the little mole. Hit him with Swords Dance. Excadrill, yeah, that guy put in work. If you get him with a Sand Rush team, yeah.
Favorite starter?
Favorite start from any of them? Probably, I mean, I love second gen, so Cyndaquil was always my thing, but I really like Litten because I like cats, and I just think it's dope that there's a little fire cat. Like,
is that the one that like evolves into Berserker, or is that a different one?
No, it gets into big. It's like a big, bulky wrestling cat. I forget what it's called. It's nice.
Favorite Pokemon aesthetically?
Oh, just in terms of, I love Toxtricity, the new one, the Poison Guitarist, Electrician. Like it's dope. I like that.
Yeah, great design. All right, I think that's it. I think that's enough. Brandon, Sam, do you have any Pokemon questions for us nerds?
No, I'd like to just comment. Mike loves this when he can nerd out on something. We did Star Wars when I was on this show, and I know he just loves to do that connection and forget the audience, whatever. And I appreciate that. You know, there's people out there who love that stuff. I personally don't know anything about Pokemon, and that's the one thing I hate about being a nerd. I don't know anything about Pokemon. Like, I was way too old for it, and so it happened. And I know it's important, but I don't get the memes. I don't get anything. So I'm 40. I'm old. This is what 40 looks like, fellas. Just get ready. You think you're going to be cool forever, and then some shit happens, and you know. So
I'm not cool now, bro. I'm already not cool. I just hip hop to me, like right now, like new hip hop, it's so funny because there's a very distinct difference, like the new hip hop that I like and the new hip hop that works for me in the club. And sometimes I just like play the shit, and to me it has no energy, and I just watch these kids just go fucking insane. And it's it's just, like, you just have that moment of like, well, I'm not dancing, but they're going nuts, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you got that. That's the 100%. When you're doing parties like that, you are wrong. Like, you think, oh, my taste is on fire. No, you are wrong. Like, just look at the dance floor. So,
yeah.
Big shout out to Bakovin and Birdman. Got to drink to some to Birdman's music on Sunday. That was nice. And then Bakovin and I and Wiretap are playing a show tomorrow at Forum. So if you're in Columbus and you are willing to brave the virus, come on out. We'll be doing social distancing, get a table and all that. What else can we talk about? Oh yeah, it's show and tell time. Show and tell time. So this is Corrupt's favorite segment of the show. So in his honor, I'm gonna go grab another drink and we will cheers to him. So I don't know if you guys need to grab something too, but I'll be right back. All right,
Apollo.
Who's going first for show and tell?
Sam, he hyped it up.
I did not hype it up. You asked me, and I deferred.
I introduced myself first.
You hype it up.
It's a super disgusting pair of Beats that I wore all through high school.
You were that kid.
Shower with them.
You were that DJ.
See how worn down there? I wasn't even a DJ at that point. I just listened to music nonstop. My friends used to joke and be like, yeah, he wears them in the shower, because I would always have them on. So, yeah,
gross.
I should probably throw them out, but
no, man, that's. I mean, hang them up somewhere. That's like, I some things are. Even me, Heartless Mike Salone, has like things that have sentimental value for sure.
Wait, what song do you think you listened to the most through those headphones?
That was gonna be my question, or genre or style. Yeah. Like, what was burning through those beats? So.
Everything Lil Wayne at that point.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. All right.
Hey,
you love Lil Wayne.
Where does he rank on your top rappers, Sam?
Top rapper? Probably definitely top 10. Okay. Maybe top 5.
So floating out that 4 to 6 range, 4 to 7 range?
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
Respect that. What about you, Connor? Who was like, all right, at the time of Sam's busted beats, what were you listening to?
Like, at that time, I mean, honestly, I really like all of Lil Wayne's mixtapes. I was never big on his albums, but like No Ceilings, all that stuff was
the
really
Droughts,
fun.
right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah, all those, I enjoyed all those. That was when I kind of got into the like rap lyrics, they're just kind of, how do you, like, they're not puns, but you know, like it's when that kind of lyricism took over, where it's just these like funny little one-liners that go hard. So I think it was, if you're into that, he's one of the best at that. But if you're into like the more old school stuff, then I don't think he comes close to like some of the older school hip hop.
Now, Connor, are you wearing that shirt because of our conversation on Sunday, or is that just like it was the first shirt you grabbed?
No, I mean, I'm a very strong activist in the movement of birds not being real. Yeah,
talk about it. Give us 1 minute to convince me that birds aren't real. Go.
All right. First of all, have you ever seen a baby pigeon?
No.
Second, you know, I'm pretty sure this pandemic was just to get us off the streets so that they could change the batteries on the birds. I mean, that's why they sit on power lines, is the recharge.
That's my favorite one.
Hey, bird watching goes both ways. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Like, you gotta be careful. Like,
time is up. All right. I know you guys watch the podcast. You both know how passionate I am about this next segment. Tips for listeners. You both have done a ton of college shows. Sam, we're going to talk about your kind of move downtown post double retirement. But what tips do you guys have for listeners in general that they have not heard before?
Sam, go first.
Specifically for like open format gigs.
Whatever you think, any DJ, man, what does every DJ have to know that they don't know?
So I think for bar gigs is lose your ego. There's a lot of shit that, you know, we don't want to play. You know, it's not something that we personally get enjoyment out of, but it's like, this is what works. You know, we're not here necessarily as artists. We're here as employees of the bar to serve the patrons. You know what I mean? To provide entertainment for them, to make sure that they have a fun evening. And so you have to lose the ego of, oh, I'm not going to play that. That doesn't make me look cool, or I don't enjoy that. I'm like, no, like that's not, you know, you're not Skrillex, you're not Diplo, you're a DJ.
You're not B-Funk because you don't have the Trust Me Dance Party.
Exactly.
That's true.
Right.
So I think that, and then especially for younger DJs, don't surround yourself with yes men. That will be like, oh, you killed it, even when you didn't. I think Connor and I have been good about this the past few years because we've obviously worked together a lot, but calling each other out. And I mean, not in a negative way, but I think there's, you know, healthy criticism of like, hey, you know, this didn't really go well, or, you know, maybe work on that. Because I think at the end of the day, like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So I think that's been one of the biggest things for me. And I think that's something that we did pretty well with on 13th, of having a culture of getting better. I mean, Trevor, when we met him, as a frat DJ, you know, he was, you know, 50% of the way there, but we worked with him and I don't think we were mean to him, but, you know, healthy critique. And, you know, over the last year and a half or so, he's gotten exponentially better.
Yeah.
So what does healthy critique look like for you, Sam? Like, so let's say there's this DJ and you know, they're on the way to the gig, and then they cut their parachute too early and they crack their knees. You have to go over and revive them. You have to spend
that happens, man. That
hard
happens
on plates
so much
to revive them. How do you go about giving them feedback?
I usually wait until afterwards.
Yeah, let them embarrass themselves a little bit. You know, it genuinely it'll humble people to choke. Let them choke you think it. You know, before it destroys the bar, what we were going for. Let them feel the sting.
I mean, there have been points where we've stepped in, like if it's going like severely in the wrong direction, where you kind of have to step in and realign. But if it's something where it's like, this isn't going to ruin the crowd, isn't going to ruin the night, kind of let them play it out and turn it into like a coaching moment. I sound like an old man when I say that, but and I think it's giving criticism with a solution is important.
Yes.
Whether that's, hey, we can get together and we can work on this, instead of, hey, that sucked, do better.
Yeah.
I think unless you're given a path, like providing a path forward for them, whether that's just advice or, being willing to work with them, you just kind of come off like an asshole. And I think it can ruin your credibility with them for them being willing to listen and take advice from, someone that's been doing it a little bit longer.
So positive on the first one. I don't think anyone's mentioned that before. And then the second one has been mentioned on the podcast numerous times, but I like it because that's something we always talk about and something I always like to hear. So you passed. Well done, Biederman. Connor, Quentin, your turn. Tips for listeners that they have not heard before.
All right. Well, I won't talk about shows, stuff like that. Strictly open format. It's all about how you are approaching it. If you obviously you got to know your library and stuff, but like programming, organize your crates. It's everything. Don't plan sets, but build routines that work. So if you're working on a puzzle, the puzzle is your full DJ shift. You can tell which DJs are doing one puzzle piece at a time. They're like, all right, here. But then DJs who I think are good with open format, they put a couple puzzle pieces together, set it aside, and then they have a bunch of those. So you're filling in that puzzle way more deliberate with what you're doing. I think that will start to give you the freedom to know that you got some solid 10-minute peak routines. You got some solid 10-minute down winding routine, whatever it is that you need to make happen, you can use those accordingly wherever you want, but you're not playing it song by song. You're like, oh shit, obviously read the room, but when you're reading the room, you're not just giving them what they want, but you're also directing them towards something 15 minutes, 20 minutes out, so that everybody's kind of staying fresh and it's not it's the best word. You're not getting fatigue with what's happening and stuff. Some people don't realize that they've been playing big room for 20 minutes when really it was only appropriate for 10 minutes. You could have gotten out and then played an awesome song out of that was 70 BPM, hip. You really just got to know how long to do something and the most efficient ways to get out of them. Especially for open format, because you could be mashing up so many different things.
And I think for longer sets especially, if you play the hottest tracks, you're gonna blow your load within the first hour. So we've done a lot of sets where it's 8, 10 plus hours, and the goal of sometimes you're repeating a few songs, but if you kind of plan it out more, or understand your library, understand what goes well together and kind of the flow of things, you're not going to trap yourself in a corner of all right, I'm 2 hours in, I don't know what I'm doing, what I have left in my arsenal, whatever. I think that's Mike's laughing. What are you laughing about?
No, I'm laughing because I'm this is probably what it says on your Tinder page. It's doesn't post load in the first couple minutes, could go for 5 to 7 hours, won't trap you in a corner. And I was like, yeah, that's that's probably what his Tinder profile says. No, man, but honestly, I was going to go to Brandon and say, well, I'll do it. Brandon, pass or fail for Connor's tip. What do you think?
As far as never hearing it before, or just what he said, or
well, I know you've heard it before, but what do you think?
I've heard that. I think I've heard similar on there. I mean, my question was going to be for you, Connor. How with those vignettes, or those, are they mental, or do you actually have them in a crate, or how do you approach them?
All right, so I'm violently to a flaw OCD. So when I crate dig, that's just 2 hours just listening, downloading music. Then I'll organize them all by genre, all that tags in iTunes. Then I'll put them in Serato, analyze them. Then I have crates that I never use smart crates. I really like to do it all manually. I'm a lunatic. I told you,
we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh my God, bro.
I am a manual lunatic when it comes to that stuff, because I will, build crates for particular bars. I'll have some crates where if I'm just working within a certain BPM, I can really get open formatty because they're not selected by genres. I just know that like all these 80 BPM tracks, whether they be pop, hip hop, whatever, you can go crazy with them.
Mm-hmm.
I love knowing all my BPM transition tracks. Like that's the real money is for open format. It's like I'm tweaking out just thinking about it.
Yeah,
but
a
I mean,
reliable transition track is so good. I'm with you.
Yeah. But when you're, you know, you're talking, because, you know, don't ever plan out the set, which I agree with, you know, like what you're saying, like, you have these, you know, vignettes is a term I got from DJ Tech Tools, but, you know, like, do you actually have that, like, here's an example. When I do a wedding, I just always play Dancing Queen, and then right after that I play Staying Alive, because I can beat match it and I just makes it work and people go crazy. But I don't have that anywhere. I just do it naturally. And so I'm wondering, do you have, because some people have it, you know, physically in there. So
no, I would have way too many of those then, because I mean, literally they could be only 3 songs, you know, like there's like 53 song routines in my head that kind of go around whenever. If I realize I need to play one of those 3 songs for some reason, then I'll be like, okay, how can I make that routine work? Because not only are they going to hear the song, but it's going to have a little bit more pop to it. You know, a little bit. It would seem they more likely where instead of them be like, well, that's the song I wanted to hear, they're like, you know, damn, what did he just do there? Kind of. But no, I wouldn't know how to go about doing like mini routines because crates are so broad. I mean, it's a good.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that it's not a knocker. I just wonder because people have different things. So like Jay Flip is somebody who she takes a song and she's like, oh, this shit works, and she just puts it together, and then she can pull that out. So when that song's there, I don't personally do that, but I like that's you were talking about that. So I like to know what people are doing and
I
understand.
will say, because you know, I never want to make like a pre-recorded set, but if there's 2 tracks that might have a tricky transition, but I know they work, I'll throw them in Ableton and just make it a bootleg so that cuts out a step for me. Just things that I consistently return to. I'm just like, why not make it even cleaner in Ableton? And
everyone
it might
should
be
do that. I agree 100%. I've got that, you know. So
yes.
Sam, I had a question for you.
Oh,
how do you
real
find
quick, Brandon? I just want to say,
sorry.
I just want to say that was Connor. What you said, pass 100%. I love the puzzle analogy. I'm stealing the shit out of that from you. And yeah, like I think of it the same way, right? And just like Brandon saying, Brandon nailed it. Like obviously you can DJ however you want. There's no wrong way to DJ, but if you're at a wedding and you're not playing Dancing Queen into Staying Alive, you're wrong. And Brandon knows that.
It works. You can play it anywhere. It works.
Bro, you can like autopilot. I don't care what's going on. Bathroom break, go to the bar, like, you know, go to your car for a couple minutes. Like that is going to work everywhere. So yeah, have some vignettes, mini sets, pieces of the puzzle, like or regions of the puzzle that go together. Now go ahead.
I will say one more thing, not to interrupt, but if you are playing a long set and it's a busy bar, it does not hurt to have some bathroom break routines as well. Like to know you're like, all right, I got to get myself at least a 5-minute window to fight to the bar, like the bathroom, and get back in time. That's the worst. Is if you're like, if you ever DJ and you really got to pee, like it is the worst time of your life. So
yeah, that's true.
Definitely. More than controlling the crowd, control your bladder.
Hey Connor, how old is your DJ library?
Let's see. I would say 2012 is when I started kind of building it in iTunes.
So you're gonna start looking into smart crates. The only reason I'm gonna say, because I agree, I like what you're doing, and like I said, there's no wrong way. It just does a lot of stuff, and as your crate, you know, your library gets larger and larger, and your crowds change, you're gonna lose stuff somewhere, and it's not even your fault. And there's ways you can have it, you know, start using tags and stuff like that, so it pulls up. Like I've started reintegrating my old library for that, because there's just gold that you forget about. Like I've been re-importing a lot of music, but that's just something I know you're like, I like to have a personal touch, but like you can do both. You can just have it all dumped here, and then it pulls you up or whatever. So that's just my my 2 cents, not the right way or wrong way. It's just, I think once you get into it, start using it, you'll really like it. So.
I think
Go ahead, Connor.
I was just like, with the tags, if I can find a way to do that, because I'll be getting, I think you explained it with how you organize your crates, B-Funk, how you get, sometimes you'll be downloading Tech House, but some Tech House is strictly for more freedom kind of shows, but some Tech House is very open format. Usually the crates that I want to draw from would be the open format stuff. Like I think it's just because I always have those two kind of separated, even though they're both labeled the same genre. One is like playability values way higher on a regular basis for me, and so I like to manually drop that one in.
I'd echo B-Funk on that, Connor. Maybe try to make one smart crate. Like pick out something that, like, if you find yourself, like, I know you said you organize by like venues, so maybe if you have like an Ethel crate and a Midway crate. This is not but as an example, make like a smart crate called College and make it populate from anything that you put in a Midway or Ethel, like it'll go into there, right? Anything that maybe you have like a hip hop folder, and then you have like a 90s hip hop folder, 2000 and a 2010s, right? Make one smart crate that says like hip hop all, and every time that and just make it populate from like all the different hip hop eras. Just try like one or two of those, and I think you'll, especially with your OCD-ness, you're gonna end up with like 50 smart crates. I'm Brandon. How sure are you?
I keep making tags that I don't have filters to put in. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't. It's classic and stuff like vocal and energy, 80s, 90s. It is. I think your OCD, you're going to love it because you can have it literally go into that spot. But it is a lot of work, and you have to. My favorite thing, like I talked about last time, is literally Tech House last 3 months. It's just right there. So then I have everything else. So I can still go to that, but it's just one less click on the thing that I have to bother about. But it can be anything. I mean, the tags is the thing that takes it to the next level. If you don't have tags, if it's just genre or something, you're not getting up. But if you're just like you're talking about, like I've shit that goes into weddings, but also that works, like at an open format or something like that, or that goes for EDM. I want that to show up in all three spots, so I have that, a new track I have is Trust Me. That's what I use for my stuff. So I'm like, this is, like a Franz Ferdinand type song that's a Trust Me song. I wouldn't want to play that at a regular show, but that's a song that get people going. It's a little different LCD, but I did want to ask Sam a question, if that's okay, Mike, about his tip. Is that
you're co-host, man, 50-50.
Okay, hey, I'm sitting in. I'm not it's a monumental show. So Sam, you were talking about finding, not having just yes men around you. So how do you identify that? I guess is an important question, because it's awesome. You guys have that culture and stuff like that. But like, what? Oh, Mike's got an answer. Well, I'm asking this to Sam and Mike. You get at it, but how do you identify those people, whether they be your friends or whatnot? Because some people they just hate on you and they're just going to hate, and that's not constructive criticism. They're just hating on what you do, but usually others are, dude, that was sick set, bro. You brought the energy, and they were just drunk off their ass the whole time, and or they weren't even in the club, when you did that. So how do you identify those people if they're not readily making themselves available? Like how do you, how's that conversation happen and stuff like that? So for newer DJs, who are listening to the podcast.
It's tricky. I think for me, especially starting out, it was in large part it was Bryson, Paul, Alex, Nick Reed. Like in my mind, like very early on, those were the people that were, giving the constructive criticism. I remember the first show I did. It was Hermitude, the first Laboom I played. It was three or 4 years ago.
I did lights at that show. That show was awesome.
But I completely butchered my set, and I remember walking up afterwards, and they're like, and I mean, it was a shitty feeling, but it was like, all right, there's a standard, I need to do better. And so I went home, practiced my ass off, and then the next show went, monumentally better. I think Depending on what circle you're running in, whether you're more show focused, whether you're more, club focused. If it's, where you're working with promo groups, it's all right. Who are the people that are playing direct support? How are they doing it? Can you get in with them? And because they're going to want to uphold the standard that they've created. You know what I mean? And so if you're going to be a part of that, I think that's how you can identify of like, all right, we're sticking to their, the way that they do things. Kind of got to get with it or get out to some extent. Or if you're going the more club route of, Connor and I are still young, but having Trevor come in where we were kind of the more experienced guys, being able to, fill that role. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. I mean, I just think it's important people understand that, that is crucial to getting better.
Yeah.
It's great to get gassed up by your friends, but dude, once you get to that person who doesn't know your friends, doesn't know you, they're going to tell you suck. And, that crash is way worse if you haven't been told that you're not where you're supposed to be. But yeah, Mike, you look like you had something to say about that. So,
hey man, I've been talking about it for years. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
I think it's getting input from people that are knowledgeable, whether they're DJs or just around and they've experienced what a good DJ sounds like or a bad DJ sounds like. Chad or Brad, the 20-year-old at Phi Cap, isn't necessarily going to be the most experienced person to give feedback, good or bad. It might might make you feel warm and fuzzy, but at the end of the day, if there are things that should be pointed out for you to grow, he might not necessarily be the one that's knowledgeable enough in that category to be like, hey, maybe work on this. So I think surrounding yourself with peers that when possible, that are knowledgeable and can provide insights.
I think I know what you're trying to say, Sam, but I'm gonna elaborate on it and say, like, take feedback from everyone. Like, yeah, obviously you want to take feedback from, everyone who's on this podcast right now and other DJs, but keep in mind that most of the people that we DJ to aren't DJs, right? So I value feedback from DJs only slightly more than what I get from the crowd, because that's a really good indicator. I know these people aren't paying attention as much, but it's also a good indicator of like what the masses are doing, right? For every gig that I play, there's probably only 2 or 3 DJs in the crowd, and the rest of them are lay people who just want to have a good time. So I'm sure I know you do take feedback from everyone, but I don't want somebody to like hear your point and be like, oh yeah, don't listen to everyone. Listen to everyone. Listen to the club owners, but you have to. When you take feedback, I would say try things, but also don't be afraid to protect what makes you unique. So we were talking about Connor, right? And making smart crates. So, B-Funk and I said, yeah, make 1 or 2 smart crates and see if you like them. You'll probably end up with 50, right? So if he makes 1 or 2 smart crates and he's like, this isn't helping me at all. I've never clicked on these smart crates at all in my life. Don't be afraid, Connor, to be like, yo, this is what makes me unique. This is the way my brain works for stuff. And with anyone who gives you feedback, just be sure, like take what people are saying, but don't be afraid to say, hey, what they're doing is not for me. This is what makes me unique. I'm going to go this route. And that's all I really wanted to say.
Agreed. And ask the right questions. I think that's important. How am I doing is not helpful as a DJ. Oh, it was good, but like, you guys, we value song selection. How was the end? Stuff like that. Be ready with those questions and ask the same question to different people. That will go further. And I'm not telling you guys this is for everybody else. That's what you guys do. But like that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, because they're just like, dude, I killed it. All my friends were there, bro. They loved it. What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, I mean, it was good, but did the bar make money? No, I mean, you might be killing with your party, but they're not, so, but yeah, I just wanted to, get your guys' insight, because everyone sees it differently. It's super important to talk to the gatekeepers and make sure they're happy. But, if I'm trying to play, tech house, I mean, I want to talk to a bass person, or vice versa. Or if I want to do trance and it's a disco place, it may not be the great place to be talking to them, so.
Yeah.
Sam, you've built your career through like MBFP and college events now. you're moving kind of into like the third phase, which is downtown. Not that they're like in order or anything, but just like that's the third phase of kind of your career from what I'm hearing. Are you changing your crates around? Are you approaching it differently? Or are you just going to take a look at the crowd and say, hey, look, these are just people like slightly older than what I'm used to. And the music that, you know, worked for me there is probably going to work here. Are you preparing differently?
Definitely preparing differently. I think it's, I mean, a lot of, I think some of the core content will still be, you know, if it's going to work campus, it's going to work downtown. But I think there's a lot of differences as far as like, you know, what kind of hip hop they want, how do you push the envelope, you know, stuff like that. And especially like what type of art is, you know, a midway block is going to be so much different than a Dahlia or a Seesaw. You know, it's an older crowd, you know, even if they get super amped up, that's going to look much differently. And so to get to that point, you know, it requires different content. And for me, it's still a learning process of, you know, breaking, you know, 3 years of habits and going into a completely different demographic, an older demographic, of learning what that looks like and how do you, you know, still run them through the cycles.
Yeah. Hey, Brandon, you do some college events here and there, and then also kind of do the clubby stuff. Like, do you prepare differently, or is it the same?
Club events versus what
college
other events? Like
college events?
Yeah. So I mean, that energy is, you know, we were talking about hip hop. What I think is dope is way different than, you know, college events. You know, and now my age gap is different as well. You know, I'm 40, so I'm older than everybody here. But you know, I can sift through and find a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it's really, you know, like what you guys talk about. It's the energy is different, sing-alongs and stuff like that. You know, you got to play the hypest of the hype for most of that stuff. You know, they don't really appreciate older hip hop. You know, like hip hop, unless it was when they were in high school. You know, it doesn't, you know, translate well. You know, just because it's a classic song. You know, if I'm playing something off the 8 Mile soundtrack, people aren't going to want to hear it. You know, it's still a banger, in my opinion. You know, so yeah, it's. I personally don't really like doing those events because I feel like those events, they pay the least right now for me, and they have the most headache. You know, which is just, as we're all learning our DJ careers. You know, like money's great, but like, you know, money is important, and so but headaches. We don't need that anymore. You know, we're not struggling to get these gigs. We can pick and choose. And so, yeah, I'm definitely with you. So,
Connor, you've been investing in production, talked about earlier. Have you had any breakthroughs recently? So, you know, I know you guys, I watched the podcast, you've listened to Corrupt, you've listened to some of the other guys, Intel. Have you had any breakthroughs recently? Like, oh my gosh, you know, I figured out this oscillator in Serum, or I understand how filters work, or, you know, EQ is important. Like, what's been your latest breakthrough?
Well, Serum in itself, yeah, that's its own beast, honestly. Like, I'd almost spend as much time trying to figure out Serum as building the songs in Ableton. I think with Serum, it's kind of hit and miss. I'm getting much better with being able to you know, tweak sound, so it's not like you're just getting something off a splice, like a plug-in sound, and you're using that one specifically. You can kind of play with what's built in there, like LFOs and such, to make your own whatever it might be, whatever sound that you want, so that it's completely unique. So LFO filters I've been using probably the most to, you know, like say dubstep, like a drop like that. You could take like a normal growl that I, you know, 2 years ago would have been stuck with that growl, but now I can do much choppier, like all that sort of realm of stuff. As far as Ableton, the more you keep at it, like, I wouldn't say I discovered something, but speeding up workflow in general, so that I'm not sitting there. Like when I said, what do you do the first hour every time? I've gotten much better with being able to structure everything out, have a game plan, and get at it more than just like spending 30 minutes looking for drums, 30 minutes looking for sounds. Like, you know, 8 hours later, I'm like, I think these sounds will all go together, but I haven't really done anything with them. Mr. Carmack is a good example. I haven't heard anything by him in a long time, but like how he would release just shit tons of like sometimes 45-second to a minute and 30-second edits, tracks and stuff like that. Like, don't be afraid to just wrap something up, do one drop, you know, like I don't really want to make music to be on the charts, like complete songs, but I want to make music that makes my DJing performances better. So even if it's only a minute, if it serves the purpose of specifically what I wanted for it, then I'd much rather use just a minute edit of something rather than, you know, play a minute from a 4-minute song.
Exactly like your Pokemon intro, which is fucking dope. In my opinion. Exactly. Other people probably hate it, but in my opinion, it's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the thing I need to really focus on, I was talking to Corrupt about it a little bit. A lot of tutorials, you know, I'm getting really good at watching, repeating, and kind of doing what other people are showing. But what they'll do is they'll have a great tutorial. We'll get the layout of our tracks like the exact same. And then he'll be like, an artist like Virtual Riot, I watched one. He was like, well, let me just throw one of my personal instrument racks on here. And then he drops it on there, and then everything just is next level crazy. And I'm like, what's in that instrument rack that you built there? Like,
what effects, is the sausage fat?
Exactly. Like right now I'm just like, you know, Camel Crush. Here we go. Like, and I think maybe it's a CPU battle. I don't know, but some of the instrument racks that people throw on to like a sound that I built the same as them in Serum, like, it's crazy how much better it is. Mixing in mono really helps.
Yeah,
that's the secret sauce for me, because nothing is better than getting it in mono and then you play it back in stereo and everything's like just same, way more gratifying.
This is a question for all you guys. What DJ pools are you on, and how many hours or how much time per week do you spend on finding new music? And let's talk about pre-quarantine. Right now, music's in a weird spot. So let's talk about pre-quarantine. What pools are you on, and then how much time do you spend on each pool per week?
Well, pre-quarantine, I mean,
you've had enough. Sam, why don't you talk?
Yeah.
I'm just talking. I love it.
So,
man,
I'm on LDS, Benzies, on
give me a little. So sorry. As you talk about like the pool, maybe say like one or two good things about it, and then one or two things that you don't like about it, just so people can.
Okay, so live DJ service is Benzies. Super good for heavier edits. So especially during like block season, you know, when you could get away with those heavier things, it was perfect for that, or for hip hop, like for straight hip hop, because they tend to go a little bit deeper than like the DMP or DMS does. The flip side is they're not super good about updating it like frequently, because they'll do batch updates. So by the time they push something out, it's usually, you know, not really relevant anymore. Digital music pool, probably my most consistent one.
That's pretty cheap, right? Like there was $10 last time I checked.
I think it might be 20, but I mean, LDS is 30. I think DMS is 50. But it's super good for, especially for house edits, and for pop, like for straight pop. No real complaints with that. DMS, it's good. I think it's a little bit overrated, but it kind of fills the gaps, mostly for originals on there. They'll have a decent amount of good edits, but nothing like mind blowing in my opinion, at least for what we're using them for. And then I use Headliner. They have some phenomenal edits, so like they're exclusives that you can't get anywhere else. I think that one's like $40 a month, but well worth it if you're doing frequent gigs, you know, every weekend and want to, you know, freshen it up. So
between the last two that you mentioned, I think you mentioned Digital Music Service and then Headliner Music Club. It sounds like Headliner Music Clubs has the better edits.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for like knockout edits, if I had to go with only one service, I would probably go with them.
Nice.
The rest has a lot of overlap, but they usually kind of, together fill the gaps and get me what I need.
Thanks, bud.
So,
and how much time do you spend on a week with all of those subscriptions?
If I'm doing it every week, usually hour to 2 hours. If I'm only catching up from the last week or so, but because I don't hit all the boxes, like especially for LDS. But say I have a show coming up where it's much more EDM focused than I would normally play, then I'll go back through and search specifically for that. So
cool, man. That's really helpful. Connor.
It depends. If you can stay on it weekly, then yeah, you can make it a 2-hour crate dig session. Try to keep it healthy. If I wait, more than 2 weeks, then I could get caught into like an 8-hour just obsession dig. Like, I'll open DMS. I'm like, oh, there's like 3 new pages. And so I'll have to go back to where I last saw and then go through every song.
Wow. So you go through every song.
It's bad.
I wouldn't say it's bad, man. I would not say it's bad.
But there's definitely keywords or artist names or things that'll pop out, and I'll be like, ooh, or somebody, Danny Diggs, certain people you just know make good bootlegs. So like, you gotta, I don't want to miss those. I'll get really pissed if I'm out and somebody's been like, yeah, it's been out for a month. You didn't download it. I'm like, what the hell, man? But the secret one, since Sam covered all the ones that you pay for, but the secret sauce is smashtheclub.com. It's free. They got a bootleg pack section, and I mean, some of these artists that are putting their bootlegs on, you don't see on any of the other services. There'll be like sometimes summer edit, like usually seasonal kind of bootleg packs that the main artist put out, and they'll have up to like 50 songs, which will have a clean, dirty, it's awesome. Smash the Club for free. If somebody doesn't want to pay, but they want to get some like good stuff, go to Smash the Club.
Damn, it's some good ass content. Isn't it be fun?
Yeah, no, that's great. I actually just went to that site.
He's already like, I'm already there, bro.
I'm like, let me go.
Smash the Club, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to check as often. That's the good thing. Like you could be a monthly thing with Smash the Club, whereas other places it's like you could get oversaturated if you're not on there weekly.
Oh, I have not been.
I'm
monthly or yearly. So
yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out Smash the Club. I mean, you can't fight free, and then Headliner Music Club from you, Sam. I think that's gonna be one that I check out because I think that's where when you said DMS is overrated, my heart sank a little bit. But I do. If you say that the edits, like the remixes, are better at Headliner Music Club, I think that's where if I say I can say all the nice things about DMS, but the one thing is it's like their exclusive edits could be better. I think, they could use some higher energy ones. I feel like there's a lot of the remixers on there are really veterans, so they've kind of have a mold. And maybe Headliner Music Club has some fresher guys who have they do more unique edits. I feel like what you're going to get from the guys from DMS a lot. So that is a takeaway for me. So thank you. Let's see, Corrupt is not here, so we're going to talk about 614 releases. 614 is an awesome clothing company here in Columbus. You can find them at 614. Obviously, a reference to 614, the area code here. The only thing that I saw released this week is Crazy in Love, the Fear in Low edit. You can find that on their SoundCloud. It is not an official release on their Spotify, but you can find it on their SoundCloud. It's solid. It's exactly what you expect from Fear in Low remixing a top 40 song. I think that's something that we could all use in our crates. It's solid. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, you didn't promote my music, couldn't I release something? Yo, let me know. I'm literally on every social media. You guys have my email. There's a document floating around where you can just literally add what you're releasing and the date, which really helps me out because then I can tell people where to go in the description of the YouTube. Check that out. But so far, Fear and Low's edit of Crazy in Love is all that I saw. Did you guys see anything? Did any of your friends release something this week that I missed?
I haven't seen, not really, no.
Not that I know.
I think Intel released last week and we caught that one, but I don't think he had anything this week.
Yeah, actually, he just had, I saw a post from him, I think right before I jumped on the podcast. I don't know if it was from last week's release or if he has something new coming out, but
Well, that's
he
the
didn't tell
beauty.
Mike, and he saw the post, so it's on him.
Hey, and
Anthony's my friend, so that's on him.
No, I know. And I've been telling Intel finally got his MailChimp, his MailChimp. But if you're putting out content, if you're just DJing, you don't need a MailChimp. But if you're actually putting out content, MailChimp is huge because now you're not relying on the algorithm to push your posts to your followers. Most normal people, high functioning people will check their email once a week. They will see that, Connor, that Sam, that Brandon, put out a monthly update with all of their projects. If they don't open it, that's on them, but at least they saw it. Let's see. Intel selects. Nope, that's his playlist. I got nothing. Oh, and then he has his Intel radio.
He had the chance to tell you, but he didn't.
Yes, so true. I trust me. I don't feel bad.
You need to share. I'm not saying we need to dig for Intel stuff because he knows about this. He's been on the show and he's not sending stuff. So this should be a burn. So when he sees this later, he's like, "Oh, I had that. It could have been. We don't know about it." So he needs to do better. All of us need to do better. So
and this is why we're besties, Brandon. Wrap up. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Like, I mean, I feel like I feel like I've covered everything in your DJ careers in the last hour. So that was a joke.
Well, I mean, you do some shout outs to some people who Sam kind of did. Sam definitely did, talking about MBFP, how he got involved. But I mean, when I moved down to Columbus, the only reason I was able to get out of doing city events, campus events, and stuff like that was Beat Squad. So shout out to B. Wallace, Kyle Hayes, for giving me those first initial gigs at bars where, I didn't know a single person. So I was, the whole time, I was programming myself from the get-go to like just serve the bar purpose, and I wasn't getting to play what I wanted, but it helped me treat it much more like a job than a party at first. And Ken Connolly, massive shout out to Ken Connolly, because he's the one who hooked me up with Chang at A&R and got the Midway thing lined up. So
yeah, man, I miss Ken. That's a good dude. I still keep in contact with him. Maybe if he puts stuff out, I would put that on the podcast. He's a great.
Saved my life one night.
He is a good dude.
The Social Room, goddamn, that place.
That had a good run.
I blacked out there one night. I opened for Ken because he couldn't make it. He had like another gig, and so he was like, "Just open for me. You can use my DJ tab." And I woke up with like the DJ tab, spent another $200 on my card. I don't know where I am. Like, I guess I blacked out there. And
you guess you blacked out?
Kenny,
you think?
Yeah, I got carried. I don't know. To this day, it's a big question mark. But I know Kenny, one of the managers who's over at Food Hall now.
Big shout out, Kenny.
Yeah, they carried me out. That's all I know. So,
well, we're glad you made it, Connor. Big shout out to Ginsu, who's on the podcast. Man, was that 1 week or 2 weeks ago now? I have no idea. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks, because you guys didn't do last week.
That's right. Yeah. That's why it's confusing, because it feels like the last episode, but it's technically 2 weeks ago. Good call. And then Matt Nickel. I don't know what you're doing in here, man. You're not a DJ, but that was like one of my roommate's best friend. Awesome dude. Love you, bro. So what's up? Sam, you have any shout outs?
So MVFP dudes for sure, and then Kenny, AJ, the whole Park Street crew. I mean, that first residency was crucial to me, of getting, the amount of growth just in a matter of months when I first started there, of, learning to play to a crowd, learning to, map it out. It's, looking back, it's night and day, even then. I still keep in contact with them, still play, occasionally at Standard, at Food Hall when they need it. So those relationships have been alive and well. Chang, Hayes, a lot of the older DJs that have mentored us over the years, given us opportunities, and, been a solid sounding board, when we need advice, whether it's DJing related or where we want to go or stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reluctantly have DJ Chang on the podcast. That's gonna be because like there's I can go back and forth with most people. Like there's very few people who can like literally just get me to be speechless, like in like and not like a diss war, but you know what I'm saying, like playing the dozens. Chang, man, he says some shit that I'm just like it almost says it like he says stuff that's so unbelievable that instead of me thinking of my comeback, I just think about how unbelievable what he said was. So having him on a podcast with like other people around scares me, but he's he's a quite talented DJ, and he's like such a longevity in the game that I feel like I have to have him on. Maybe I'll go on vacation. I'll make B-Funk host with Corrupt on that episode. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube and you made it this far, holy crap, like the video, please. At the very least, if you learned something, we do this every week. With fantastic DJs, so subscribe to the channel. You don't have to hit notifications. I think that's a little extra, but at least subscribe and let us know in the comments who you want us to have on the show, what type of questions you want to ask. I read every single one. So if you're like, man, this sucks, it's your fault because you didn't comment to tell me how to make it better. Just kidding. What else can I talk about? Big thank you to B-Funk for helping me co-host in Corrupt's absence. And
the Warzone Heroes.
Yes, Corrupt will be back. We call this the Warzone Heroes. We're about to hop back on and grab some dubs in season 4. Guys, any final words? I'm done. That's it.
I mean, we could go on forever, I think, but
we're not. It's
more things to do.
Like one more statement.
Actually, no. I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys' time and just learning more about some of the DJ stuff. It's pretty interesting, and I'll have more questions, but I'll find that in Verdansk. So
cool. Sam,
yeah.
Anything you want to say to ladies?
That's for Sam.
I'm good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Check us out every Thursday. 6:15 is the pre-show. We start the official show at 6:30, and we would love to have you here asking questions and in the chat. Peace. That's it.
Where are we dropping?
Where are we dropping?